Carver is a movie directed by Franklin Guerrero Jr. Screaming only excites him. There's nothing else on the cover. There's no actor names. It's just the brand DVD on the cover. And the front cover. This is as indie as it gets. You look at the side here. We do see some little labels here. Let's see if I can read them off. Illumination, not Illumination. You know, because there's already a production company called Illumination. So it's AL, like aluminum, the foil aluminum. It's illumination. That's one way to do it, I guess. A butcher is born. See what everyone is calling the most horrific scene in horror film history. It's guaranteed to make everyone cringe. I didn't cringe. And it's definitely not the most horrific scene in horror film history. I have no idea who actually typed that out. There's no little testimonial thing here. It looks like it's supposed to be a testimonial, right? They wrote this down here like it's supposed to be a testimonial, but they don't have the little subtitle. Let me see if I can get an example. Ooh, I have a movie that has it. Yeah, here we go. I just wanted to find something I didn't have to get up to reach. So here is Casino Royale. This is not the Daniel Craig one. This is a Casino Royale from the 1960s. They didn't have the exact particular rights to the whole franchise that Sean Connery is already doing his 007 movies. So some other people got the rights to Casino Royale. And instead of just making it a 007 movie, they just made it a spoof of the spy movies of the 60s. And well, it's pretty funny. I actually found it pretty funny. It's kind of anthological. I don't want to get off topic here, but I pulled this out because it has a testimonial here. A sprawling big-budget spy spoof by the Blockbuster Entertainment Guide. This is an example of a testimonial with an actual name of whoever wrote this. You know, on here, it's looking like it's supposed to be a testimonial, but there's no person giving the testimonial. So whoever typed this is probably whoever made this, if that makes sense to you. Let me put this away. Let's continue reading off this now. From award-winning director Franklin Guerrero Jr. Well, let's see what he actually won. Okay, it took a little bit of digging, but I found some awards for our Franklin Guerrero Jr. He won the Best Editing nominee for Disgraced in 2020. He won this one, the Jury Award at the Chicago Horror Film Festival for The Eighth Plague. I've never seen that one. He won the Freaky Film Festival Best of Fest, The Eighth Plague. Another one here, he won 2018 for Miriam's Balloons. He won in 2021 for Disgraced, Best Comedy Short. And Disgraced. So I'm guessing Disgraced is a pretty good comedy short. And then The Eighth Plague. I have no idea what that is. I may look it up eventually. But they're right. Franklin Guerrero Jr. has won an award. So they're not lying there. So let's keep reading here. And based on true events. Oh boy. Let's see what we can find out for that. After some cursory digging, I have found something from the director. I believe it's the director, Mr. Guerrero himself. So I'm going to read the question prompt, and I'm going to read the response. I'm not going to go verbatim, but I'll give you the gist. So we have the person asking the question saying, "It says that Carver is based on a true story. Is this really true? And if it is, could you guys tell us something about it?" And Mr. Guerrero replies, "Now that's interesting business. I'm glad you asked. This is one of those things I hear most about from people. A lot of them are kind of cranky about it. To those cranky people, I say this. The operative phrase here is based on actual events, as opposed to based on a true story. Ah, so he says that, right? Based on a true story. Well, what do we have here? Based on true events. You're right. He actually says based on true events on the back of the cover. So there you go. He's correct on that. These folks have scoured the internet looking for this Halcyon Ridge place, only to find that it is fictional. Well, obviously, this is my imaginary town, not on any map. And obviously, the actual events are greatly embellished. The victims themselves are purely the work of fiction. This movie is based on actual events in the same way that Psycho is based on actual events. And no, it's not based on Geen like they used to. Did someone then dress the guy up in different clothes to trick his girlfriend? Probably not. It's not my blah blah blah. However, there is an actual case in that framework that my story is based on. The distributor does not want me to talk about the specific case. It predates Geen, though. Well, that's all we can find about is it based on true events, and he basically gave us a whole lot of nothing. He said, oh, it's based on true events in the vein that Psycho was based on true events. Psycho, the 1960s Psycho, for anybody not knowing. You know, the shower scene with the screeching violence? That's Psycho, right? They say that that movie was based on true events in some way. So he goes into a little bit of a trite about that, but he doesn't actually tell you what those true-based events, the events were based on, because he says he can't go into detail about that. And sometimes, at least from my findings, when people say that there were actually no events that they were actually based on, they're just saying something like that to sell the movie to you, to give you the idea that it was actually based on something, you know. And most of the time, they're probably not. I mean, sure, have kids gone camping in the woods and then got killed by some redneck. In certain places, I'm sure something like that has happened in scattered, remote areas, perhaps. But have they happened in the exact same way as it happened in this movie? Probably not. Let's keep going. Carver tells the real-life tale of 5 friends on a short camping trip in the mountain town of Halcyon Ridge. When they take a small detour to an abandoned stockyard owned by the Carver family, they fumble into a horror film they think is only a movie. As they explore their eerie surroundings, they discover the truth behind the film and the Carver family. They begin to open doors that should never have been opened. Soon it becomes a matter of life, imitating art, and art imitating death. Witness one of the most terrifying killing sprees ever to splash on screen. As you scream, you wonder what the Carvers could possibly do next. It really sells it for you. I'm telling you, it really sells it. And when you watch it, you realize that the bulk of what they were saying was pure hyperbole. Pure hyperbole. Now, were some of the kills pretty bloody? Absolutely. Have I seen bloodier? Absolutely. The kills in this are not the most bloody. There's not a killing spree worse than movies such as Friday the 13th. You know the 13th sequels by movie 3, 4, 5, those types of kills and all that stuff, man. The Friday the 13th films, the Jason others, the Maggie killings of the sequels, and then the Freddy killings of the Nightmare. You know, we have slashers, we have killing sprees. We've seen a whole lot worse, and trust me, you have probably seen a whole lot worse than what this film has for you. So I'm going to say, with my level of opinionated certainty, that this film does not contain the most horrific scene in horror film history, and it was not guaranteed to make me cringe. I didn't cringe. Although I did appreciate it. It's an indie flick, and the people in this did try. The actors did try. The camera angles did try. The cinematography did try. Everybody in this film tried. I'm just going to say that a lot of this stuff is just for over hyperbolized marketing to get people to notice the film, to watch it, because otherwise it would have faded into obscurity and nobody would have ever heard of it. Now, that movie that I was saying that won a lot of those awards, that short movie, I think it was called Decoder or something, you rewind this video and you'll find out what I was talking about. That film came out in 2020, so this one was 2008, so I'm guessing the only film he won an award for at this point in time would be The Eighth Plague. I'll go ahead and look it up real quick. And we're back. The Eighth Plague came out in 2006. As opposed to this one's 2007, 2008. So he did win an award or two on The Eighth Plague. The Eighth Plague has 4.2 stars on IMDb, and I believe Carver has 4.5. Well, does that mean this is slightly better? It didn't win any awards. I'll leave you to make that distinction, that judgment. I don't want to go into the story of this because it's pretty by the books. You have a group of college kids go to a location where they then get picked off by the creepy person in the area. You get told a creepy story, you go there to do a thing, they find a thing, they go like, what is this thing? And then somebody picks them off, and then one of them escapes after... Well, you think one of them escapes, but then you see the creepy thing happen in the end, and there's a twist. And do they escape actually? You'll have to find out. Carver has a lot of ambition behind it. It doesn't feel like a movie that nobody cared about that they just threw at the screen. This feels like a film that people wanted to make. It feels like a film that people wanted to get seen. It feels like a film people were desperate to get people to watch. That's why they have all of this extra stuff on here on the back of the cover and all these stuff here, based on the true events. They put all of that in here, in my opinion, to get you interested in the film, to get you to look at it, to get you to say, well, what's this about? And they want you to watch it, to see what it is. Now, I say that this works both for and against them because, yes, it caught my attention, obviously, but all of the overhypingness with all of this stuff here and the based on the events and all this stuff, it does have a potential to backfire on them because people might get disappointed and not end up seeing what the marketing here said that they would see. So it can go either way. I can appreciate their attempts to try to get people to watch this movie. I can appreciate all of the effort that everybody put into making this movie. I would watch and have watched it from start to finish, and I would say that it is very passable. It might be worth your attention.